Solvitur Ambulando, The Adventures of Steve and Dixie by Stephen Breakstone. Copyright 2025. Snippets from my journal. Episode 30, month 11th, April 1987. April 1st, 1987, Wednesday. I just decided today that I will not continue our walk. We're going to live here in Dodge City, Kansas, and continue being a waiter at the country club. I don't feel like walking anymore or doing anything else. Ha ha! April Fools! April 6, 1987, Monday. Sugar Ray Leonard made a comeback against Marvelous Marvin Hagler in a middleweight boxing match. In pre-fight talk, Sugar Ray spoke not how he was necessarily ready physically, but how he was mentally ready, how sharp and powerful his mind was. And that is why I'm glad he beat Hagler in a decision. It gives me confidence and feeds my fire when others speak of the power of the mind. If he lost, I would have accepted it, but because of what he said, I rooted for him. Other than that reason, I didn't really care who won. It's that strength of mind that has kept me going, and it's a boost to hear a winner share the same thoughts. Sugar Ray won. Maybe he knows what he's talking about. I got this far, and I'm ready to go further. Maybe my ideas are on the right track, too. April 9th, 1987, Thursday. My sister Karen's 27th birthday. The little Breakstone kids are growing up. Happy birthday. Later. The future gets going again in 3 weeks and 2 days. In 23 days, Dixie and I will head out on Route 50. I'm very excited, and I think Dixie is too. I'm excited about being on the plains again, except this time it is spring instead of fall. It should be cool instead of hot. There will be wheat fields full of high swaying grain ready to be cut instead of brown upturned dirt. It'll be like taking one step back and two steps forward as we start again where we left off and we head west as the road leads us to the Rocky Mountains. That is a thrill. Different lands, different people, different histories. Maybe we can work on a ranch for a while. What town will next winter have us in? Salt Lake City with the Mormons, or Boise, Idaho, of which I have very little knowledge about except its name and something about potatoes. Life has been great, and it's getting better all the time. Later. As I sometimes go out in the late night Dodge City spring air, another thought hits me. It's a thought, no, a smell, an odor that I have not witnessed anywhere else. It makes me think that I can take pictures of new sights and I could record new sounds. But how is it possible to capture or even describe the stench coming from a soft breeze from the south that carries the combined odors of the feed yards and the meatpacking plants? It is an original smell. I cannot compare it to anything else. Other disgusting smells will be compared to it someday because it is unique. Someday I'll smell something and say, this smell reminds me of Dodge City on a warm, breezy spring evening. And that is not actually a compliment. This stench stands alone. Side note, to this day, I've never smelled anything comparable. Oh, I've smelled hundreds of dead animals in various levels of decay, which can be quite sickening, but that's a very different odor. The only comparison, not in similarity of smell, but in putridness, is the stench from the smokestacks of the pulp and paper mills in the 1980s and 1990s in Port Angeles. Thankfully, health concerns and growing tourism dollars finally won out over logging dollars. At the foot of Olympic National Park, it's one of my favorite places in the USA. 23 days? Wow, that hits home. I have been telling people for months that my dog and I have been walking across the country, but we haven't actually been doing it for more than half a year. A long time. I know I have been preparing for it, and we're in shape and have all our gear ready and have enough money, but 3 weeks go fast. We will be out of here. I'm not very nervous, though, but the idea just cemented itself, and 3 weeks become 2 weeks, then 1 week, and then 2 nights, and Then all this reality of what is the here and now will become a memory, like remembering back when I lived in a great apartment in the French Quarter of New Orleans. I am proud that I'm not freaking. That shows I'm maturing. Good. It's about time. Although I didn't start to freak when I was about to leave New Orleans for the first part of this walk until 3 days before my scheduled departure date. So we will see how I do as the countdown continues. I will give my notice at work tomorrow. At 62 years of age now, 6 months no longer feels like such a long time anymore. However, when reading back on these journals, I'm reminded that, well, back then at 24 and with things changing all the time, half a year was a long period of time. April 13th, 1987, Monday. We went running today and we had a bit of a setback. Along the prairie, the open world, outlined only with fences to keep the horses and cows from running all over the place, we ran our route. Dixie is not picky when it comes to animal friends or fascination, and we stopped and said hello to a horse. With only a wooden fence separating them, they were nose to nose and getting to know each other in their own way. Then I made the foolish mistake of letting Dixie go under the fence and get that much closer. I didn't think much of it, and there didn't seem to be a problem. The horse did not seem skittish, but turned out was surprised when Dixie crawled under the fence. In this moment of surprise, the horse lifted her front hoof and sort of swatted at Dixie, not unlike the way Dixie uses her front feet when she's playing with her friends. But a horse is a massive animal and caught Dixie's front right foot and then brought it down right down to the earth and seriously scraped her paw. Once again, a yelping cry and a look to Daddy pierced the air. Perhaps it was more than just a scrape. Either instinctively or by being the hardened person I've become, I didn't freak, but the first thing I thought of was our 3-week departure date. A patch of fur was missing from her paw. It looked like a mustache ripped off a man's face. A glow of red was showing on the now exposed skin. Fortunately, blood did not pour or even drip. I know it was an accident on the horse's part because there was no fear on its part, and in its eyes was a look of sorrow or confusion, even as Dixie continued to whimper in pain. And the horse just continued to stand there, staring in apology to both of us. There was no aggression or fear from the experience of having Dixie nearby or now in pain, but I felt sympathy from the horse. I don't know. Well, nevertheless, our running day was over, and I called Sean to please pick us up in his car. I didn't know what the damage was to Dixie's foot, but I knew she shouldn't be walking anymore. There was a house nearby, and I carried Dixie over to ask to use their house phone. There were no cell phones back in 1987. Sean was the 19-year-old who had the other upstairs apartment. Sean was a real good guy, and we were friendly, but the 5-year difference in our ages was a lot at that time. And we had different work schedules, and we didn't hang out much, but he was a nice guy, good guy. Later. Dixie's foot is swollen, but I think it's okay. The timing is real bad, but I'm confident that she'll be up and about in just a few days, maybe a week. It'll probably get a little worse before it gets better, and I don't expect it to put us too far off our schedule. It would sure screw things up, as I've already put in my resignation. Later that evening. After bringing her home, I decided that I needed to finish my running day and went out for the first time without her. Now that is a strange and lonely feeling, something I do not ever want to get used to. I've never done anything like that before without her. I mean, I rarely walk to a store without having her with me. It's just natural for me to look around and keep an eye on her as I watch her run next to me or ahead of me, running 2 miles for every one of mine. Yuck. She better get better soon. April 14th, 1987, Tuesday. Planning to leave Dodge is not like leaving New Orleans. I have mixed emotions and feelings. There are similarities and differences. This time I'm not leaving Mike and Karen, who were my companions and family since 1981. I'm not leaving with a new dog that I just adopted, and it's not like I haven't hit the road before. I'm not really nervous. I'm quite excited. My uncertainties and concerns are the health of Dixie's foot and what the weather will be like. It's springtime now, and we are in the Midwest. Last year we left in the southern summer. In just a couple of weeks, we should be in the mountains, and I wonder how the mountain climate will affect us. And this time, I have my goose down sleeping bag and some polypropylene underwear. I think about getting on the road again quite a lot. I have less to prepare for as I did in New Orleans. But I know me, and I expect to lose some sleep, lose some appetite, blah, blah, blah. It's stupid, but I am who I am. I do like to think that with more experience, that nonsense gets lessened. But I will say that the feelings and emotions that one experiences, that I am experiencing constantly as each day goes on, are very hard to explain. It is one of those things that must be experienced to be understood. What I have explained was the tangible. It's the intangible that is important and most interesting. Even though it's not always pleasant, this is when you know you are alive. April 15th, 1987, Wednesday. Dixie is still hobbling around on three legs, and therefore I took her to the vet. Why didn't I take her immediately? Well, I probably should have, but long ago I found that I spent a small fortune every time something happened to her, and they didn't do anything worthwhile. So now I don't bother. She certainly recovered wonderfully from being run over on the farm, and once again I figured, why waste the time or money? On the other hand, we are planning to leave in a couple of weeks on a 1,000-mile hike. No, Steve, you were planning to leave in 2 weeks, was the first thing the doctor said. That made my heart sink. This was New Orleans all over again. Just like last time, I've quit my job. I mean, I'm still working, but my last day is scheduled and they hired somebody to replace me. Luckily, I still have my apartment. Glenn and Evie weren't kicking me out so fast. The doctor continued. Well, it's not really that bad, but I would keep her off it for a while. I mean, she'd be able to walk for a while, but then it would swell up, and then where would you be? Doc made sense. He made me realize that I couldn't be nonchalant about it. I wanted so much not to have any problems that I have not allowed myself to realize that I cannot take her physical health for granted. So I spent money on advice because there was nothing he could do, but it made me think and it took away the guesswork. Later. Most of my map reading the last couple of months has been looking to the future. I no longer look at the East Coast or the Southeast. I seem to have developed a subconscious checklist and have checked off that part of the country. I can only concentrate on the Midwest and the Northwest. That is what has yet to be discovered by Dixie and me, and therefore that is our future. However, for the first time in a long time, I did flip through the pages of the atlas and looked at Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana. And from within, I stirred up a whole warehouse of memories. People we met, things we saw, cubby holes of where we bedded down for the night, etc. I found it very exciting to relive these moments of our life that had been hidden behind thoughts of the future. And I realized that the future, our life as well as the miles ahead, has a basis in the past. This past strongly dictates the future. The excitement, thrills, wonderment, sweat, and insecurities of the past affect how I look at the future, how and why I plan for it, and what I'll do. These memories of the first 1,000 miles are mostly good. I know that it wasn't all sugar and spice. I mean, there was a lot of uncertainty whether I enjoyed the trip and if I had wanted to continue. How often had I tried to come up with an alternative? How often had I continued on only because I couldn't think of anything else to do with my life? And yet, after a few months on a farm and half a year in Dodge City, Kansas, there is not a doubt in my mind that I want to continue walking across America. I can think of nothing but good thoughts, and I'm excited about what the road has in store for us. One of the major differences between Walk Part 1 and Walk Part 2 is experience. When I left New Orleans, I had travel and camping under my belt, but I had only book knowledge of what it was in store for me as a traveler by foot. Now I have a past. I know what I need and what I want. I know what to expect. I'm more relaxed at the fact that I'm all by myself. My occasional sleeplessness is not for nervousness or anxiety. My insomnia is rooted in excitement. I look forward to our steps with great anticipation. I can't wait to go because I look forward to more. More life, more fun, more opportunity, more future. More. April 22nd, 1987, Wednesday. I have decided that maybe May 2nd was too early to leave. The weather here is very unpredictable and strange this April. Also, it will only take about 2 weeks to get to the Rocky Mountains, and that might be too early to be there in terms of cold and blizzard conditions. But since I have put in my notice and Dixie needs extra time, I would have just had to sit around for time to pass and be bored for a week or so. But, of course, the kid came through again. Or should I say, Stan George came through. Stan is the golf course superintendent at the Dodge City Country Club. For the past half a year, I had the privilege of serving him his lunch when he came into the dining room, one of his fringe benefits. Stan was always very friendly. He and I would chat for a while until others joined him and I had other tables to serve. I casually mentioned my last day was coming up and of my layover because of Dixie. Stan asked me if I'd be interested in helping him out for a while until his new workers showed up when their college semester ended. Not only do I not have to sit around doing nothing, but I also don't have to pull savings out to pay rent and food for the extra days. Also, because of a new temporary job to have fun with, I won't push Dixie any faster than I should to get us on the road. Okay, we'll leave sometime in mid-May. No problems here. As I have mentioned, the members, mostly but not exclusively an older generation, have taken an interest in me and treat me quite friendly. Often they like me to stop at their table for a visit, a chat, even if I am working in a different station. When they find out that I'm taking off soon, they ask me to stay. This is probably one of the hardest places to leave, isn't it? They would say, or some would say. Or, why don't you just settle here? They're very nice. Or are they just saying nice things? Maybe they feel that is what they're supposed to say. I don't know, but in my own mind, there is no doubt that I'm ready to leave. I'm pretty sure they're asking me because they would like me to be part of their own town. I'm honored. But when they ask, they're not really taking me into account. Steve Breakstone, the traveler, the adventure. This is not me. Not now, anyway. Remember, I'm on my way to see where I might like to have a home base someday. Maybe I will come back to Dodge City if in time I feel that this is the town for me and Dixie and anyone else we add to our family. But there really is nothing for me to do here. I've not made many friends and no girls. No, Candy, you're not chopped liver, but I mean girls who are more than just friends. There's no career or future here for someone like me. Side note. You might notice that I didn't write much about Dixie's bruise, which it really mostly was. This wasn't like being run over on the farm. I knew she'd be okay, similar to if I had a lightly sprained ankle. She just needed time to heal. And also, by this time, I now had a lot of Dixie issues that I had to deal with and had to adapt my walking schedule multiple times. Consciously and subconsciously, these experiences helped me to learn to take things in stride with less anxiousness. Of course, I still had a long way to go, mentally and physically. And sometimes, if I just kind of grew slower than I would have preferred at times, but I was getting better. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for letting me share. Peace.